69% of Americans have less than $1,000 saved. If you're one of them, this video could change that, but only if you're willing to hear some uncomfortable truths. Welcome to Clift, where those ready to rise above come to elevate their wealth, success, and mindset. We know you're here because average isn't enough. You're building something bigger. So we've put together insights that separate those who stay stuck from those who break through. Here's the thing. Some will watch this and feel attacked. Others will take notes and take action. The difference? One group defends their current position. The other uses it as fuel to climb higher. We've consulted with successful entrepreneurs, studied the patterns of the wealthy, and identified the habits that actually move the needle. Not theory, not motivation, just what works. Yes, there are exceptions. Yes, circumstances vary. But awareness is the first step to elevation. And if you're willing to look in the mirror and make changes, you're already ahead of most. Let's get into it. 1. You're addicted to scrolling, not building. Here's an uncomfortable truth. If you can tell me who's fighting in the next celebrity boxing match, what's trending on TikTok, or who's winning on reality TV, but you can't tell me your financial goals for next quarter, we've found problem number 1. The average person spends 3 hours and 15 minutes on their phone daily. That's 1,185 hours per year, or 49 full days of productivity completely lost to scrolling. Rich people aren't sitting around watching other people live interesting lives. They're too busy living their own. Elon Musk isn't doom-scrolling social media at 10 a.m. He's in product meetings. Mark Cuban isn't watching TikTok trends. He's investing in the companies that create them. Every hour you spend watching other people's highlight reels is an hour you're not creating your own. Your phone is literally designed to addict you. The infinite scroll, the notifications, the dopamine hits. Successful people treat their attention like gold, because it is. They might check the news once a day like a responsible adult, but they're not refreshing Twitter every 10 minutes to see what outraged strangers think. Want to know how to fix this? Download a screen time tracker. When you see you've spent 4 hours today watching random videos, ask yourself, could I have learned a new skill in that time? Could I have started that side business? Could I have at least gone for a walk? 2. You're eating your way to mediocrity. Let me paint you a picture. It's Tuesday afternoon. You're feeling that 3 p.m. slump. What do you reach for? A sugar-packed energy drink? A bag of chips from the vending machine? Now picture this. A wealthy entrepreneur is also having a 3 p.m. slump. They're reaching for almonds, drinking water, or having a green tea. This isn't about being a health nut. It's about performance. Your body is your vehicle to wealth. You wouldn't put cheap gas in a Ferrari. So why are you fueling your million-dollar potential with garbage? Here's what's happening. When you eat processed garbage, your energy spikes, then crashes. Your brain gets foggy, your mood swings, and your long-term health suffers. When you eat real food, you get sustained energy, mental clarity, and better decision-making skills. And yes, eating healthy is more expensive up front, but being unhealthy is devastatingly expensive in the long run. Doctor visits, medications, lost productivity, missed opportunities. The average American spends over $12,000 annually on healthcare. Rich people see healthy eating not as an expense, but as their most important investment. They're spending $200 a week on groceries to avoid spending $200,000 on medical bills later. 3. You're buying things to impress people you don't even like. Here's the financial death spiral. You're broke, so you buy cheap stuff that breaks, so you replace it often, so you stay broke. Or worse, you buy expensive stuff you can't afford to impress people who don't care. Rich people follow the cost-per-use rule. A $500 pair of quality shoes, worn twice weekly for 5 years. That's 48 cents per wear. A $50 pair that falls apart in 6 months? That's $2 per wear, and you look like you can't afford quality. Better yet, rich people buy assets, not liabilities. While you're financing a brand new car that loses 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot, they're buying reliable used cars with cash and investing the difference. While you're paying $80 monthly for the latest iPhone, they're using last year's model and putting that payment into index funds. One collects liabilities, the other collects wealth. It's not about being cheap, it's about being strategic with every dollar. 4. You hit snooze. They don't. Let's be real. The morning is where fortunes are made or mediocrity is cemented. There's something magical about those early hours when the rest of the world is still asleep. No distractions, no emails, no demands, just you and your goals. Successful people don't just wake up early, they win the morning. Tim Cook is up at 3:45 a.m. Michelle Obama hits the gym at 4:30 a.m. Their first hour might include meditation, planning their day, exercise, or reading. Meanwhile, you're hitting snooze 3 times, rushing out the door, and starting your day already behind. Here's the math. If you wake up just 1 hour earlier every weekday, that's 260 extra hours per year. That's almost 11 full days. What could you accomplish with 11 extra days focused on your goals? You could learn a new language, write a book, start a business, get in the best shape of your life. The wealthy understand this. Morning hours are worth more than evening hours. Your willpower is strongest, your mind is freshest, and the world hasn't started making demands on your time yet. 5. You're a professional sports analyst, but not getting paid. Okay, this one's going to hurt. Your passionate analysis of last night's game is worth exactly $0. Unless you're getting paid to analyze sports or you're actually placing winning bets, you're pouring emotional energy and time into something that gives you nothing in return. Rich people either own sports teams or they're too busy creating value to care who won the championship. They might watch the Super Bowl for the commercials or the business networking, but they're not spending 15 hours a week analyzing fantasy football stats. Warren Buffett doesn't watch ESPN. He reads annual reports. Elon Musk isn't checking game scores. He's launching rockets. Jeff Bezos isn't arguing about referee calls. He's building companies. They've redirected that competitive energy into building empires, not analyzing someone else's game. Here's the psychology. When you're deeply invested in sports teams, you're outsourcing your sense of victory and defeat. Your mood rises and falls based on whether strangers you'll never meet can throw a ball through a hoop. Meanwhile, you're not creating any victories in your own life. Quick reality check. If you're nodding along thinking, yeah, I know all this, but you're still doing these things, knowing doesn't matter. Doing matters. Let's keep going. 6. You're lazy about personal maintenance. I'm just going to say it. If you think personal hygiene is optional, you're opting out of success. This isn't about vanity. It's about respect and professionalism. Here's a scene I've witnessed in corporate America. 2 equally qualified candidates. One shows up looking sharp, smelling fresh, with pressed clothes. The other shows up looking rushed, unprepared, like they just rolled out of bed. Who gets the job? Who gets the promotion? Who gets the client? Rich people understand that their appearance is their packaging, and people do judge books by their covers. It's not fair, but it's reality. When you look put together, people assume you have your life together. When you look sloppy, they assume your work is sloppy too. Studies show that well-groomed professionals earn 20% more on average than their less polished counterparts. That's tens of thousands of dollars over a career, all because someone took an extra 15 minutes each morning. And it's not just about job interviews, dating, networking, making friends. All of it is affected by your presentation. Good hygiene is literally the cheapest investment with the highest return. 7. You're the star of your own sob story. Here's a game. Listen to how unsuccessful people talk about their lives. You'll hear phrases like, "My boss doesn't appreciate me." "The economy is terrible." "I'm just unlucky." Rich people had advantages I didn't. Now listen to successful people talk. What can I learn from this? How can I add more value? What's my next move? What am I responsible for here? One mindset sees life as something that happens to them. The other sees life as something they create. Even when bad things happen, and they do to everyone, successful people focus on their response, not just the event. Here's the difference. Unsuccessful people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Successful people ask, "What am I going to do about it?" Both people face the same challenges. One stays stuck complaining. The other finds solutions and moves forward. The gap between them isn't luck or privilege, it's mindset. 8. Your savings account looks like a desert emergency fund? What emergency fund? Here's a sobering statistic. 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. One unexpected car repair, one medical bill, one job loss, and it's financial devastation. Rich people have what I call FU money, not enough to retire, but enough to walk away from bad situations, take advantage of opportunities, or weather storms without crumbling. The wealthy maintain 3 to 6 months of expenses liquid at all times. Let me give you 2 scenarios. Scenario A, the broke person. Their car breaks down. They can't afford the $1,000 repair. They put it on a credit card at 24% interest. They're now paying for that repair for years, with hundreds in interest added on top. Scenario B, the prepared person. Their car breaks down. They pay the $1,000 from their emergency fund. They immediately start replenishing that fund. The crisis is over in a week, and they move on with their life. But here's the real difference. An investment opportunity comes up, a friend's startup, a real estate deal, a discounted course that could change their career. The broke person can't participate. The prepared person can. The gap widens. This is literally how the rich get richer. They have the resources to capitalize on opportunities when everyone else is scrambling. 9. You're using credit cards like they're free money. Repeat after me. A credit card is not an extension of your income. It's a financial tool that, when misused, becomes a financial noose. The average American carries $6,500 in credit card debt at 20% interest. That's $1,300 per year just in interest payments, money that could be invested, saved, or used to build wealth. Here's what broke people do with credit cards. Finance vacations they can't afford. Buy the latest electronics they don't need. Cover daily expenses because they're living paycheck to paycheck. Pay minimum payments and wonder why the balance never goes down. Here's what rich people do with credit cards. Earn points on business expenses they'd make anyway. Get 2 to 5% cash back on purchases they were going to make. Build credit history, then immediately pay it off in full. Never ever carry a balance. The golden rule: if you can't afford to pay cash for it, you can't afford it. Period. The only exception is buying assets that appreciate or generate income. A house, an education, a business. You shouldn't be paying interest on your dinner from last month. 10. You're hanging out with people going nowhere. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Let that sink in. If your friends are all broke, complaining, unmotivated, and settling for mediocrity, guess what's in your future? If your friends are ambitious, growing, taking responsibility, and building their lives, guess what's in your future? Rich people understand this intuitively. They're not snobs. They're selective. They know that time is their most precious resource, and they're not going to spend it with people who drain their energy or reinforce limiting beliefs. Jim Rohn said it best. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at your 5 closest friends. Average their income. That's probably close to yours. Average their ambition. That's probably yours too. Average their health, their relationships, their mindset. You'll find yourself right in the middle. Here's a tough truth. Sometimes you have to outgrow people. If you're serious about changing your life, you might need to find new friends who match your new ambitions. It doesn't mean you dump your old friends, but it does mean you expand your circle to include people who are where you want to be. Successful people actively seek out mentors, masterminds, and peer groups that challenge them to level up. They join communities, attend conferences, and network with people who are ahead of them. They're pulling themselves up by surrounding themselves with people who are already there. The bottom line: look, we both know this was direct, maybe a little too direct, but here's what I want you to take away. Every single one of these habits can be changed starting today. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be better than yesterday. Pick one of these things to work on this week. Just one. Master it. Then move to the next. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is made up of these daily decisions. These small choices compound. They're either compounding your success or compounding your struggle. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. 5 years from now, you'll either thank yourself or regret yourself. These aren't small habits. They're the difference between financial freedom and financial struggle, between being in control and being controlled. The wealthy aren't special, they're just strategic. They made different choices, and starting today, so can you. Welcome to Clift. Let's rise above together. Climbers, which of these hit home the hardest? Share your number one takeaway below. If you're ready to rise above, type climbing in the comments. Let's hold each other accountable.